In this video, we're going to take a look at using some of your own surfaces and modifying surfaces to modify your mold. The first thing we want to do is go to the bottom of our feature tree and roll back before our tooling split. Let's go ahead and hide this solid geometry, scroll back up to our surface bodies folder, and let's expand the cavity, the core, and the parting surface folders. We want to show the parting surface, and we also want to show the cavity surface. Now what we're going to do here is make a modification to this cavity surface and see how that is affected in the mold tooling split. So I'm just going to create a sketch on the top of this part. I'm going to draw a circle. I'm not going to worry about dimensioning the circle or locating it. It's just simply for an example. From here we want to use the surfaces tab and do an extruded surface. We're going to go ahead and extrude this upwards 1/4 inch. Let's make sure that we have draft on it. Inside the extrude surface options, we can actually cap the end, and that's what we want to go ahead and do. Once that cap has been created, let's go ahead and trim surface. We're going to do a standard trim type using that new extruded cylinder as our surface trim tool, and the section we want to remove is the inside section of that split. So we're not going to knit these two together, and there's a reason for that. We want to go back to our feature tree and let's scroll back down past the tooling split. It's going to produce an error, but I'm going to show you how to handle this. So we're going to right click. We're going to edit this feature. Now the reason this is creating an error is because the cavity surface now has a hole in it. If you remember back when we created those shutoff surfaces for all the openings, it created a separate surface that was knitted to both our core and our cavity surfaces. Now, because we made this modification, there's a hole there. But that's okay because these don't need to be knitted together. They can simply be included in that selection process. Once we hit OK, changes are going to be made to our mold. If we hide our surfaces, we can take a look at what's been created. So let's scroll back up to our solid bodies folder. Let's turn on our tooling splits. Now we didn't make any changes to the bottom, so no changes are reflected in the mold, and that's fine. But the top section we made a few changes to. Now you can see there's now a cylindrical bore in the top of our part. The only reason I'm showing you this is because there are often times once you've created the mold that you'll notice issues in the mold that you don't find beforehand with your mold tools. You can run your draft analysis and your undercut analysis, but you might see issues with your parts after the mold is created. Now a lot of times when those issues are created, it's going to be easier for you to go back and modify the surfaces that are created for your core and cavity, or even your parting surface, rather than modifying your geometry. A lot of times you want to keep your model how it is, make changes to only the mold, because the changes that are reflected in the mold aren't often needed to be reflected in your part. So this is a good way for you to modify some of the geometry that's created by SolidWorks without having to modify your solid parts.